Hey y'all, it's Bailey with Reclaim Grace, and I am so happy you clicked on today's video. We are just making over some items I either thrifted or found at yard sales. I'm trying to get my stash down little by little because I have a large 100-mile yard sale coming up in a couple weeks. And I just need to get rid of some stuff and get it done into my booth. It is just mainly paint for today's projects and transformations, but they came out really good. I was gravitating more towards summer vibes with greens and yellows and those brighter colors. Y'all let me know what you think, and let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, friends, we're gonna jump on in to our first project. Here, I have this shelf. It kind of reminds me of a picket fence. Mama gave it to me. She picked it up on a yard sale, I believe, for like $1. It has some serious brushstroke marks on this piece. Some white paint was slapped on this thing. So we are going to start out by smoothing everything out and give everything a good scuff sand. Then we're going to give the piece a really good clean and wipe down with some Windex. Once everything is good and dry, we're going to break out our clear shellac, give that a good stir, mix everything together well, and then I'm just going to brush on one heavy coat, making sure I get all the areas, top, bottom, sides, and in between those little picket fence things, and then I let that dry. Shellac dries so fast. Then I'm coming in with some Curry milk paint. This is Sweet Pickins milk paint, and man, doesn't this just remind you of summer? This is a gorgeous mustard color, and it is probably about to be one of my new faves for the summertime. We're going to go ahead and paint everything up with this Curry milk paint. Of course, I am drying in between each coat with my heat gun, and that quick picture was my inspiration for this picture. So we have 2 coats of Curry down, some gorgeous crackle, and I went on Amazon and bought some folk art stencils. I have just been really vibing with the folk art recently. Like, that inspiration picture is just my jam. I love it. So I want to incorporate some of those textures and paint styles in my booth this summer, and this is the perfect piece to practice on. So I just grabbed out some colors, some greens, reds, peach, white, and I'm just having fun, taking my time and stenciling away on both sides. Of course, I'm going to repeat what I do on one side on the other. And yeah, I'm just going to let you watch this. I just had fun with it, kept on adding, outlining, adding dots where I thought it needed some extra detail with the end of my paintbrush here. And I just had a ball doing this design. Once I got my 2 outer sides the way I was liking it, I'm going to work on these narrower parts now, grabbing the same colors to keep my color scheme, matching across the project piece. But this stencil pack came with these more narrow designs, which I love. So I'm going to follow this around the front detail. And then I just took a different piece and kind of mixed and matched to go on the top rail. You'll see in just a second. But again, I'm using the same colors so the piece, goes together. Adding lots of dots in between some of the stenciled shapes. Mix matching some of the stencils so I can create exactly what I'm wanting that works for my surface area. And yeah, I just love how it's turning out so far. And our last step is to add some Fusion Agent Wax. I waxed up this whole piece, being sure to get in all those nooks and crannies, and then wiped it back with a lint-free cloth. And this was the perfect final touch this piece needed. Y'all let me know what you think about this folk art bookshelf. I love, love, love it. I want to do a furniture piece next, but I know it's going to take quite a bit of work because this smaller piece sure did. I priced this piece for $33. Let me know what you think. Moving on to our next makeover. Here I have this little side table. It is going to be perfect size and height for what I want to do with it, but it needs lots of repair. I love that little curvy detail on it, but as you can see, it is a bit unstable. And we have this huge crack right here in the side that we're going to need to repair first before proceeding with anything else. But if I can say this project is not my normal style, I guess you could say, that is spot on, because y'all, I love how this project turned out, but it's just not my style. And that's okay to work outside your comfort zone sometimes, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we get a little further down the project, but I still love how it came out, so I definitely wanted to add it to a video. So we are adding some glue in that huge crack area. As you can see, I went ahead and took it off, sanded the area, and then applied the glue. Now I'm adding some clamps. I'm going to use a third clamp up there at the top because it was wanting to separate on me. And we're just going to let that dry for a couple hours. And then I'm going to shoot a few nails in the top before coming in and pre-drilling some holes to sink some screws into. And this will stable that piece right on up and make it less wobbly. Next, it's time to fill in some holes. I'm going to use Bondo for that because I just love how hard it dries and how quick you can come back in and sand it. I just mixed up some of the putty with the hardener. I'm applying it to all the little cracks and holes on this piece, and within 5 to 10 minutes it is dry and I can come in and sand those places down. I'm going to feel around with my hands to make sure everything is smoothed over, and then we'll give this piece one more clean before we finally get to paint it. As you are going to be able to notice, I'm using a lot of the same processes. Sand, clean, shellac, milk paint, agent wax. Pretty much that's the process for all our projects today, but they're completely different projects. So I'm using some more Curie. I had some leftover paint from our first project that I want to get used up. Of course, I had to mix some more to get this whole piece covered. I mixed it a bit thicker than usual so I could apply less coats. And man, the coverage with this yellow color is just phenomenal. You know, yellow is normally notorious for bad coverage, and this just really surprised me. So we are painting this up. I'm not worried about painting the top of the side table because we're going to end up covering that. But we're going to give everything else 2 good coats, drying with the heat gun in between both coats. And here's what we're looking like with full coverage. If my camera would focus, you would see some gorgeous crackle and a little bit of chippiness. And we're going to go ahead and get all that chippy paint off, and then I'm going to seal it with some Fusion Agent Wax. So here is the bottom of a suitcase that we are going to be adding to the side table. I took the measurements of the tabletop and I'm just transferring that to the bottom of our suitcase so I know where to attach it and where to apply the glue. Just using a Sharpie so I can see and you can see where it needs to go. Using some Titebond Quick and Thick, pretty good, so I can make sure we have some glue contact. And then I'm going to set the tabletop on top of the glue. Now I'm going to pre-drill some holes right through the bottom of our side table into the suitcase bottom. Going to pre-drill 4 holes, and then I'm going to sink in 4 screws. Now, I tried to find some screws that would not penetrate through the bottom of the suitcase, but I just did not have any in my stash, so I just used what I had. It is very, very close to not coming through, but once I opened it up right here and felt around, I was like, I feel it. So I had to come up with a plan, and here's what it is. I had these furniture things that stick on the bottom of your legs, and I painted them to match the inside of the suitcase. And I'm just going to place those over the screws, the screw tips that are poking through. And really, it is almost impossible to see, or it's not impossible, but they blend in fairly well when the paint is dry. So I think that was a pretty good, thing to do to cover up the screws. Either way, that's it for this project. Sorry about the final pictures. They aren't the best, but the project is cute, and that top of the suitcase is just one of a kind. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this project. I priced it for $127. Our next project is a trinket shelf. Y'all, I love this piece, especially with those arches. Oh my goodness, I just love it. I paid $5 for this at a thrift store. As you can see, it has a little bit of wonkiness. Like the arches aren't intact. So we need to come in and fix that, get them back in place. I'm going to get a little bit of wood glue in the area and then take a piece of paper to get that wood glue in between the crack. And then I'm just going to hammer it home one last time and let it dry before I mess with it again. And that ended up working great. I'm just going to wipe off that excess wood glue and it is fixed. Next, I wanted to come in and fill in those nail holes, so I'm just going to use some glazing compound putty, I believe. This product works phenomenal in small holes, and it dries really quick like Bondo does. So I'm just going to spread that out evenly, let it dry for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to sand it smooth and go ahead and give the rest of the piece a good scuff sand as well. Like I was saying in the last project, we are going to be doing some of the same steps, but getting way different results. I want to give the piece a good clean with some Windex and a microfiber rag, and then I'm going to let it dry before we take it outside and give it a couple coats of spray on shellac this time. Just because there was a lot of angles we needed to get covered, and spray paint is just so much easier when working on multi-level surfaces. But I did give it 2 coats, and this product just dries so fast. So as I put that second coat on, I'm inside mixing up my milk paint. We are going to use a combination of artichoke and butter. I did equal parts, so I did 3 scoops of artichoke with 3 scoops of butter, and then I added 5 scoops of water. But before I added that water, I was like, I'm going to have to transfer this because it is not going to fit in my little Dixie cup. I always save these KFC bowls, and they are the perfect containers for milk paint. So I'm going to add my water, give that a good stir. For some reason, the milk paint was wanting to chunk up this time, so you really got to work hard to make those chunks dissolve in the water before you paint. I'm going to let it sit up for about 10 minutes and thicken, and as that's doing that, I'm going to apply some beeswax bar to our project piece, definitely around those arches, the corners, sharp edges, and a few areas with some flat points as well, some of the flat surfaces, and then we are going to start painting. If you are in need of any Sweet Pickins milk paint products, you can head over to my website and shop around. And I have some IOD products too. I know I haven't used IOD in a couple videos now, but I am fully stocked on the website over there. If you're needing something, I have that linked in my description box below. I really appreciate all your support recently on my website. Y'all are just awesome, and I just thank you so very much. So back to this project. Lots of nooks and crannies to paint here, but I just started and just kept going, flipped it over, did the bottom side, and I did 2 coats on this piece. And here is what we're looking like after those 2 coats are dry. You can see where we applied that beeswax. We are having some good chippiness. So I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper. This is a 180 grit sandpaper, and we're going to sand this piece down, really focusing on those arches and everywhere I applied that beeswax so we can get all that off. And then the last step, add some Fusion Agent Wax. Y'all know I love this stuff. These trinket shells are just so very popular in my area, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to have no problem selling this. I priced it for $97. Y'all let me know what you think. I just love the green color, of course. That might be a new favorite combination. Our last project is a set of candlesticks, holders, whatever. It has this metal piece on it that I wasn't loving, so I just took my chisel and just pried those out. It was just held in with it looked like some hot glue, so they popped right out. I'm going to set this to the side. You never know when I'm going to need it. I'm going to remove any stickers and labels, and then, of course, same process. We're going to give this a nice healthy coat of shellac on both candlesticks. Now, I had some excess milk paint from our last project. Excuse me, my voice always does this in the morning time. And of course, I did not want to waste that gorgeous color, so that's what we're going to use on these candlestick holders. I applied 2 coats, drying in between each layer with my heat gun, and I just really slathered that paint on these. I was really hoping for some thicker crackle on these pieces, and that's exactly what we got, my friends. Here's how we're looking at their 1 coat, and here's how we're looking at their 2 coats. We got some nice deep crackle. Now I'm going to distress these up a little bit. I want these to look pretty aged when we get done with them. So we're going to sand them well, definitely get in those detail high points and some of the flat areas as well. And next we're going to add, you guessed it, the Fusion Agent Wax. All over these, I'll work a candlestick at a time, brushing on the wax and then wiping it off with a lint-free cloth. Then, just to add a little bit more age, I took my Dixie Belle Dirt, I believe it's called, and a small artist brush, and I'm just going to pounce on some of this dust in some of the crevices, and this will just add another layer of age. I'm going to take a fluffy brush and kind of pat that off, get any excess off, and then these are done. Look at that age. I love how these turned out for just a extra throw on project, trying to use up some milk paint. No milk paint goes to waste around here. Grab another project and throw it up there. I love these. I priced them for $33 for the set. Alrighty, friends, that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, leave a comment down below, and consider subscribing if you have not already. Thank you for spending your time with me today. I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye.